think I come up with ideas for stories that probably are more distant from me, like coming up with a cool idea for a robot or a horror movie concept, and then I try to work back in and find some connection to a more, you know, human level that has to come from me. So with Robot and Frank, I had the idea of the robot and the old man. I was thinking about that relationship, and I was thinking about my own grandparents, seeing what my parents were going through. So, but I think I do start with, you know, something more like a concept and less of a personal idea.
I think, you know, stories, in a way, at least what I work and how I build my work up, is like they need to be personal in a certain extent, but I don't want them to be private, you know. I try to make stories that are kind of out there. Of course, they have something of me in them, but they shouldn't be too private. Or else I won't be able to work with them or deal with them or see how they work and stuff. But most of all, my ideas come from, you know, just some kind of intuitive, that is a good story. You know, with this teddy bear, it was just like, okay, this huge bodybuilder guy, you know, who lives with his mom. He's way too old to live with his mom, and he's very insecure and hard with women, and, you know, that was just like, wow. I saw that picture for me. It's very intuitive, the stories. Where do stories come from? Where do ideas come from? It's just something. Suddenly, something is just there, you know. And I think, but they're definitely personal in a sense. You know, somewhere far away, they have to have something connected to my heart. You know, they have to hook me. You know, so they need to be something I understand, you know. There's a reason why I get the ideas I get, and they're from somewhere inside, you know. So.
I've been working with the same producer, so I only pitch my film to him, and we have this relationship. I find that I'm like playing with the same hockey player on the same line. I always know where he is, and he knows where I am, so it's a great working relationship. So he saw the play the same day, and because it was a one-man play on stage, and I said, that's our next project. He said, what? Give me a month and I'll figure it out. And then I wrote a synopsis, and we worked from there.
Writing for me is like, it's different than it used to be, especially when you're working with unscripted dialogue. You know, I mean, casting is so important and part of the process and the raw materials of the thing, and the collaboration with those people, and you know, there's the initial concepts, and then there's the implementation of those concepts in particular environments. I mean, I consider that all, you know, it isn't just sitting at a keyboard, and the evolution of those things, and that attentiveness, so that they evolve. You know, I mean, if you're not going to script dialogue, then you need to be elastic and attentive. Because if you're not, it's sort of, you're missing the point. I mean, insofar as like you know, it's an 18, 20-page, you know, treatment or script without dialogue, and I mean, that was written. You know, it kept being rewritten, and then at some point, you know, the edit ultimately rewrote everything. You know, after the collaboration, I mean, the collaborations, and you know, seeing essentially just being, I mean, again, attentiveness and not having a too rigid, you know, set of expectations for the thing. I mean, I think that kills, you know, any life, and has in so many movies. You know?
I think a lot of times people will say, like, I write for myself, or, you know, my art's for me, and I think that's not true for me. But it really is the cliche thing of like, but if one person likes it, that's enough, and that's very true. I remember one time I showed a one-page, you know, fiction piece to a friend on the bus, and she read it, and then she was like, wow, and she handed it back, and then she was like, can I read that again? And it, you know, it just, I think that writing for me was a way for me to reach out with my own point of view. You know, I think some people use a megaphone, or some people are activists, or some people are politicians, and for me, writing was the way to kind of reach out to people and present my point of view, but also connect people through a very specific point of view that's much more universal.